Leave you laid out on the floor, try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more, saying that you're the best. You gotta show me, son, actions over words, baby boy, is you real or what? Talking way too much, world combat sports, talking way too much, world combat sports, talking way too much, world combat sports.
Yo, shout out to the hottest chat in the MF and Game A-Side official. Yes, it's a late one. Why? Because I'm about to talk about an incident that just happened this week. And it's a reason. Usually I don't report on these type of incidents, but I think it's definitely something that's suitable for the boxing community. I think you're gonna understand once I get to the point of talking about this specific situation when it comes to me. Yeah, when I heard about this initially, it kind of took me back. Not because I heard about it on the news. It's because of another relatable situation of knowing this person. Things pop off every day, wherever you may be. Things pop off all the time. I'm not, you watch the news just like I do. It's always something that's going on. But let me get to the article. There's plenty of articles out here that's speaking about the suspect, who is all the way to the right. Okay. His name is Deron Jenkins. And his mother, Dana Jenkins, is to the far left, and his younger brother. Okay. Let's get to this article, and you'll see why I'm speaking on it. Man charged after his mom and teen brother dead at Wilson home. Now, a lot of people don't know about Wilson, but I have a really good friend of mine that pretty much lives in Wilson. I speak about all the time, who bring boxers out of that area, which is it's a pretty rough area. He brings them out of there sometime to make a little change. But let me get to this first. It says, man charged after his mom and teen brother found dead at Wilson home. A man just released from prison killed his mother and brother Monday night at Wilson home, police said. Deron Jenkins, 25, of Wilson, was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, y'all. 2 counts of first-degree murder. This dude just got out, and he kills his mother and his brother. It happened at 5:30 p.m. in the 1700 block of Snowden Drive, where police responded to what they described as an unknown type call. Officers found 2 people dead who were identified as Dana Vanessa Jenkins, 50, and her 15-year-old son, Darren Cox. The Wilson Police Department told ABC 11 that Dana Jenkins and the suspect is the suspect's mother, and the teen is his brother. Cornegi, if I mention her name, Cornegi, said she is Dana Jenkins' cousin and described her as very kind. And you heard a lot of people describe this lady who's always in the church with her younger son. Always in the church. The community knew who she was, had nothing bad to say about this woman. But the problem wasn't outside of her home on how people viewed her as a resident or a woman in general. It was what she was dealing with internal to the home. And her son, the suspect who you saw up here, Darren Dante Jenkins, had been in situations allegedly prior to with domestic violence on his mama. It says she was a very sweet person, always smile. I can't see her. I can see her smile right now. She always smile. Said Conrigay, who lives next door to the victim. She went to work and came home. She took care of her youngest son. Carnegie said she would never thought something like this would happen to the family. I would have never thought that I would have thought he would do something like this. Now, that's what her seeing the dude that did this, Darren. You know, I've watched several news clippings of this clip, and you know, certain people in that particular neighborhood, he had been home and they know who gets out. Like guys steadily going in, they taking a seat for some time and then they come home over there in Wilson. You know, we'll get to how my experience plays into this. It says Darren Jenkins is held at the Wilson County Jail under no bond. He made a first appearance in court on Tuesday. All right. According to court documents, Darren Jenkins had just been released from prison last week on separate charges before the incident happened. That hurt. That hurt really bothered me and still haven't gotten over it. Cornicky said, it's going to take a while. Dana Jenkins and Darren were also being remembered. Hold on for a second, y'all. Okay, I'm back. It says Dana Jenkins and Darren, who was her younger son, were also remembered by the local church, where members say they were involved in the community. Just joyful, said Bishop. Said Bishop Sherman Blandon of Mount Moriah Community Church in Wilson. Their smiles were infectious. They would both light up the room. Darren was also a student at Bedingfield High School. A spokesperson told ABC 11 that additional counselors was on hand at the school today to support students and staffers. Please keep the family in your thoughts as well as the Bedington community during this difficult time, the district spokesperson said. They love each other. They love us. We love them, Blendon said, especially Darren. He meant the world to all of us. Our teens here, they're grieving heavily. My children, the adults here, they're the entire city. His colleagues at school, teachers. It's just rough, unfortunate. Wilson police are still investigating the circumstances surrounding the victim's death. Now, if you're curious as to how this plays into me, I'm about to tell you. I'm about to tell you. Because, you know, this guy right here, man, when I got this information, I had to do some digging. And I said, you know what, man, it was a reason why this dude stayed on my mind ever since the first time I met this guy. He stayed on my mind for the wrong reasons, not something that was when I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking about it, but the thought process and the interaction that I had with this cat, it never left. That's all I'm saying. It never left. I still remember. So, if let me get this off here and share screen. I'm gonna take you on a little trip on how I know Deron Jenkins and the interaction that I've told my listeners about this guy that I didn't know his name, but now I know his name. All right. Hold on for a second. So you're probably asking yourself, how does WCS know this guy that's up in North Carolina and accused of this? Well, I went to a boxing match and he was on the undercard. He was what you call just a B-side fighter. He wasn't there to win. The one to the right, that's Deron Jenkins. The one to the right is who I end up meeting at a boxing match in South Carolina. All right? You're not going to hear about none of this in his articles because you're not supposed to. We're talking about a double murder. We're talking about several years ago when I had a run in with this guy. And he looks much different now. Being that since I covered him at the boxing match, I covered the boxing match, not him per se, but I was covering the boxing match, doing media. It's been several years ago. Since then, he got locked up and he had just gotten out. And when he got out, allegedly, he is the one who went in there and killed his mother and his brother. This is the Ron Jenkins I remember. This is him right here. This is Deron Jenkins when I ran across him in 2019. All right? I told you when you cover fights, you run into some people. Like you have these memories and situations that you run into certain people for whatever reason the case may be. But I ran into the Ron Jenkins when he was like this, when he had the locks or whatever, and he was much younger. All right. Much different, you know, the way he looked now, much different than him, you know, going to prison. This is the way he looked now, and this is the way he looked then. So he grown up a little bit. I ran into him in 2019. Now, let's go take a look at his record. All right. Let's take a look at the Ron Jenkins record. He's a journeyman, a B-side fighter, you know, 0-5. And most of his fights, you know, he was stopped early. You know what I'm saying? But this fight right here with Paul Carroll, I was at, this is when I first met this dude. Hold on for a second, y'all. Now, can y'all hear me? So, this is what I said about the B-side fighter. This is the Ron Jenkins 0-5. I knew him at the Jamil Temple. Didn't know him personally, but I seen him fight or whatever. I was there covering the card. And also, April 2021 when he fought Malik Warren. Okay. The moment I'm talking about is when he fought Paul Carroll. The reason why this was crazy when this was sent to me was because I remember running into this guy when he finished fighting. But I want to talk to you about what happened before he fought. He was back there, like these guys are straight from the hood, man. Real talk. They're brought in to fill a card and to pretty much fill the space and give these fighters a cushion so they can keep on fighting. You know, just a filler. That's the format of boxing. So initially, this fighter got into an argument with another guy from the same area that he had just went in there and laid down. He didn't even try to fight. And I guess Darren felt some type of way about it. And they was about to scrap. Back there. They was about to fight. So I went back there with my friend who brought him. And he had to basically break it up and talk to the dude. And he was like, man, these guys ain't fighting, it's going laying down. I guess, he felt some type of way because, when you do dirt with people in the hood or whatever the case may be, I don't know what the real problem was, but they was arguing and they was loud and they was very belligerent with one another. So my friend went back there, broke it up, and talked to the guy. He said, calm down, this, that, and the other. You ain't gonna get paid. You go out there, you're gonna blow your check and all this other shit. And at first the guy said he wasn't gonna fight. And he was told, well, you ain't gonna get paid either. You know what I'm saying? So he said, no, I'm good. So it de-escalated, right? Then it gets up to the point where he goes in there and fight. He makes it to the second round. You know what I'm saying? He makes it to the second round. All his other peoples, was out in the first round, I think, if I remember correctly. So time went by, right? I'm not paying attention to Darren. And he comes up. And the reason why he probably came up, because I was, he saw me taking pictures. I was walking with my friend who brought him. I knew the guy who brought him to the fight, to the fights, because he brought several fighters that day. And he came up to me. And I remember looking at this dude. He said, where my check at? He came up to me. He said, where my check at? I said, I don't work for this promotion. I'm working, with them. I'm covering the fight. I don't work for this promotion. He said, how the hell I get paid then? How the hell I get paid? He was just a hothead. He just clicked right there. He said, how I get paid then? I want my money. Man, shit ain't gonna be right. I better get my money. I ain't effing around. So I was like, listen, go talk to that guy over there. You know what I'm saying? He's the promoter. Because the fight card wasn't over with. And sometimes fighters, time they get out the ring, they go looking for the promoter, and promoter doing something else. You know what I'm saying? He's the promoter. You feel me? So he went over there. First, he wanted me to show him. I said, I'm not going over there. I'm doing things right now. And he went over there, and I guess, he ended up getting his money or whatever. But that interaction right there, dude was a loose cannon on fight night. He had a situation before his fight, and he had a situation in his fight. He didn't go in there and lay down. I'll give him that. But the eerie part about it was that, he actually tried to go in there and fight, and he didn't do bad for him just being off the street. Like no gym, no nothing. But I just remember the encounter on him asking me. He was like, where my check at? Like I was the promoter. And I was like telling him, I don't work for the promotion, bro. But he just seemed on edge. That's the word I want to use. He just seemed like he was on edge that night. He had already been in the ring and all that shit, but he had the same energy before he went in the ring, during his fight, and after the fight. Now, when this shit came up, I said, "Man, I know this cat. I know this cat from somewhere." Because it was a time when me and him looked at each other. I'm looking at this dude, and I always keep them type of cats at a distance. But I had seen him make his way over, and he's looking and looking and looking. Because I remember him from earlier. He's looking and looking. Then he made his way over, and then he said, "Oh, he looks familiar," because I saw him talking to my guy that brought us down here. Let me go ask him. He just walks up to me, no hello, no nothing. He'd say, "Well, my check." And I remember him just being on edge and shit like that. And then he went over there, and I guess he finally got his check from the promoter. When I heard this dude did what he did, he had got locked up since then, and he had just got out. He got a haircut, obviously, but I remember, he looked so familiar. I was like, damn, I done seen this cat somewhere, and it ended up being Deron Jenkins, 0-5. You know what I'm saying? Now he ain't gonna never see the daylight again. I don't know why he's so mean, but from alleged from what he did, he was always getting into it with his mother, like fighting her and shit. And I guess he was locked up for certain charges. Don't let me get to quoting anything, but I remember him being locked up for something crazy. But before he even went in, he had situations where he put his hand on his mom. What triggered this? We'll never know until he speaks on it. The community over there was shocked based off, like, if you have a community and it's certain areas, like, let's say for instance, where I used to grow up when East Lake Meadows was popping, and one of the worst projects, they call it Little Vietnam. I had classmates that stayed in there, so I can come and go sometime if I talk to them ahead of time and they know, because you're not going to make it across that field if you're just a visitor or whatever the case. You just didn't have shit popping off. It's same with his neighborhood. They know it's a bad area over there. You know what I'm saying? But the ones who are a live wire. Those. And you have some good parents that live in the hood, but yet their kids, they can't lock in all of their kids, man. Some kids get to a certain age, especially if you male, you be out in them streets. Today, it can be male and female. It don't matter. But they get out in the streets in that particular environment, and it's hard to get them out that motherfucker. But you want to know another wild part? Let me see, can I show you this? She did a YouTube live video celebrating her son's return, yo. I'm trying to see, can I find it again? She did a YouTube live video celebrating her son's return. Let me show you this, because I can't find that. I can't find it. But let me show you this though, just so you won't think I'm bullshitting. I told you run into some people, man, and when you on these covering these regional cars, you run into some people. I'm not gonna lie to you. You definitely run into some people, man. Check this out. Hopefully y'all can see this. This is the guy. This right here is the fight that I was telling you, the first fight that I was at right here.
Halftime score.
Straight off the street now. This what I'm talking about. This is regional cards. You know what I'm saying? This is regional cards, yo. So the competition, you're gonna experience fights like this. Guys are just B-side opponents.
Come on, George.
He's actually fighting a boxer that trained. Look, he's actually fighting a guy who trained. You know, he was supposed to be the A-side fighter, and Darren Jenkins in there giving this guy simple problems. No training camp. And the only reason I'm showing you this is because I'm gonna tell you after I shut it down. Never know what's going on with somebody here. I'm not waiting through all of this. No. Welcome to regional cards. You never know who you're going to see, what you're going to see. Never know. This is Darren Jenkins in the black trunks with the hair on top of his head. Not bad for off the street. And he's in there with a supposedly boxer that has the basic fundamentals. Nice left hand.
Oh boy, tired.
not here to show her the fight, but the reason why I showed you that is the nature of his crime. He knew how to fight, basic. Shout out to Mr. Gumbo, aka Hot Grease. When saying with the $5 super chat, man. He said, shaking my head, ridiculous behavior, salute. Yes, beyond ridiculous, bro. It's beyond ridiculous. Shout out to CJ in the building. No training camp, go both ways. Can't prepare for what you don't know. The reason why I showed y'all that is, even with the little skills that he has, he's dangerous outside the ring. You know what I'm saying? He had the basic skills. He can probably fight real good in the street. Which leads me to his domestic violence situation, allegedly with his mother and his brother. Wasn't nobody beating him up. He probably felt no one was going to beat him up inside that house. He didn't feel nothing, no fear of his mother, and he definitely didn't believe his younger brother had what it takes to beat him up with his hands. And that's just the entire brutal reality to this. Is that this man had to fight in prison. He had to fight in prison. He get out. Then he come home. Something pops off the wrong way. Supposedly he's been known to put his hand on his mom. And his brother, who knows if he got along with his brother. Families, the reason why they family, they siblings don't get along is beyond me. But when it comes to a situation like this and one sibling's not doing well, man, sometimes they can't wait to take it out on the other sibling. And from what I heard, the younger sibling was in school, had many friends, people who appreciated who he was, loved that kid, all that. And you have one outlet saying he shot his people and another outlet saying they were stabbed to death. You know what I'm saying? It's just bad, real bad, man. Brutal situation of him just taking the life of his family members and staying in the house after they passed away. Just staying out in the house. And one of the neighbors, I guess the cousin, said he didn't know why her car was bagged in. We don't know if he was gonna wait to nightfall to bring him out and take him somewhere or whatever. But her car was backed in, and she never backs her car in. But my only reason for showing you this relatable to Darren Jenkins is that I covered a fight he was on, and he came to me for some reason because I guess I was talking to his driver, friend of mine, that brings these guys from Wilson. I really don't want to put his name up in there because he has nothing to do with this, but he brings fighters and give them an opportunity to make some money in the ring. You know what I'm saying? In the ring all the time. And this was one of the guys at that time. And he just asked me for a check. First I actually witnessed and seen where he was back there about to get into it with one of his friends that he came here with, to the point where he asked me, where my check. And then he finally got his money. The rest is history. But, it's crazy part about it. When I seen this, I said, I know that face from somewhere. And see, I knew him when he had hair. Now he doesn't have any hair, but I still remember his face because, the way he looked, he looked always on edge. And that's what the neighbor said. He must be that type of dude, man. Like, the neighbor said he always looked antsy, like, you know what I'm saying? He's filled with anxiety or something. And that's kind of how he looked. That's might have been why he made it to the second round. But the reason I showed the fight, I say, man, he probably was a terror in that house. If he has basic boxing skills and he got out of being sat down for a little bit, I mean, they probably knew he could fight. His little brother knew his big brother can fight. He knew his mom couldn't beat him. It's just a sad situation, bro. It's just a sad situation. It's a real bad situation, man, that the little bro didn't even get a chance to live another day of prosperity in his younger years. You know what I'm saying? In high school, gone already, man. You know, damn, that shit fucked up. For real. It's just, when I saw that face, I was like, I know this nigga right here. I seen him before. I just had to do a little digging. I say, yeah, he fought on that card. He the one that asked me. And I told my listeners before about him. I was like, this dude came up to me and said, where my check? And he was pissed off. You know what I'm saying? Dude was pissed off. I was like, damn, the car's not even ready. I mean, the car's not emo yet. Why is this dude so mad? And now that anger that I seen on that night, now this dude is all over the news, man, locked up. Probably definitely is never going to see the day of light on his own freedom again, ever, period. You know, I'm just curious to know why he did this shit. For real. But I'm not going to hold y'all too long on this shit, man. I just want to share that with you. But y'all continue to support the channel. Once again, salute and big shout out and thanks to Mr. Gumbo, aka Hot Grease. Appreciate you pulling up, CJ. And shout out to the hottest chat in the MF game. We'll do it again.